Great. Thank you, everyone. All right. Well, let's go ahead and get started then. Today should be pretty exciting. A little bit different than sometimes what we do normally in this month at ActivePipe sessions, because today, instead of more training to a particular topic, we're actually just going to go through some really great examples and hopefully spark some ideas for you all for your newsletters. So I've got a total of 5 to show you, and they're all a little bit different, and they all kind of take a different spin on what maybe a newsletter even means or what's actually included. And so I'll kind of highlight what each is doing. All right, so let's get started. The first that I'm going to show you is from our partners at Century 21 New Millennium. And so let me show you. Now they do a monthly newsletter, and if you're from a particularly large brokerage who covers multiple different areas, just like Century 21 New Millennium, they actually do a different newsletter for each metro area. So they're kind of in Baltimore and DC and surrounding areas. So they do a couple different variations, but what they tend to do is they build one and then they duplicate it and kind of relocalize it elsewhere. So keep that in mind. If you fall into that group, you can make your life a little bit easier by building one, duplicating, and then relocalizing. So I'm going to show you their DC version. And a couple of things I'll point out right from the beginning. Some things I love. They tend to change their subject line, and they tend to include placeholders in their subject line. Now, this one is going to be the contact first name. So if this was addressed to me, it would say, how's the housing market trending? Your answer's here, Elizabeth. Right? And so it's going to be addressed to the contact themselves, which is a great eye catcher, and it will help with open rates. Statistically speaking, definitely helps you there. The only caveat is be sure that you are keeping your databases pretty clean when you do this, because obviously if you don't have first names in your databases, this isn't going to work. So that's the one thing there. The other thing that they tend to do is include a personalized letter at the top. So you'll see some examples that just kind of jump right into the body of the newsletter, but they kind of put a very standard letter style at the top of their newsletter. They also include a landing page. Not all of you will have these, but if you are on our enterprise tier, then I would definitely say you should use these if you are on enterprise. And the beauty of this is you're able to ask folks to update their preferences of what they are doing right now in real estate. So they can self-identify if they're upsizing, downsizing, etc. So this is one of the big benefits of enterprise. So if you have it, you'll know it by going to add a button, and you'll see that one of the options is a landing page. So just a little tip there. Then below that, they do some local and lifestyle is what they call it. So what's going on in the DC area? You'll notice that some of it is going to be real estate related, but then they also do some really great lifestyle updates as well. And I think kind of combining both is a strong position to take, because you'll be able to connect with the people who might be your past clients who aren't really necessarily engaging in what's on the market right now. They aren't going to be as much interested in that, but they will be interested to know what's going on in your local area. And maybe they will still want to see, generally speaking, what's going on in the market, give an overview. And so what you're doing here is you're establishing that you're a real estate expert, obviously, and that you're the local expert as well. And so kind of playing those two together lends yourself well. A lot of folks will ask, where do you even get these articles? And I tend to recommend start with your local newspapers and magazines, and that's where you'll find a lot of the good local stuff to include. Now they have a particular video that they always include in their newsletters that talks about the selling process, which obviously for a lot of us on the phone call right now, we're in markets that are short on listings. So I think it's smart to include something about listing your home now. So they've done that with a video. And then they also down here, they do a little bit more specific to real estate. They also kind of do something seasonal each time. So this one happens to be spring, which I love, again, because that's going to be a good way to keep engaged with your more cool leads, you could say, or your past clients, those type of things. And then highlighting a particular program that your brokerage does. So many of you, of course, will work with lenders or maybe even contractors that you partner with, or you have a particular service program like a military reward situation. If you have any of those programs, you can always highlight those in your newsletters to remind folks what you've got going on and the full service suite that you offer. And then they do offer some properties down at the bottom with their signature. So they do a little mix of everything, I would say. So that's theirs. Let's move on to our next example. All right, Remax Alliance, which is our folks in the Boulder area. They do a really excellent job at a market-based newsletter. So you'll see what I mean. So I'm going to go into their May version. And they likewise do a quick little message at the top. I love that. Also, don't be afraid, like they've done here, don't be afraid to include emojis. You can totally do it in your subject lines or in the body of your message. You can add emojis to your heart's desire. And I think they're kind of fun. It's a good way to, not be bland. It always makes it a little bit more exciting. So good little tip there. You can, the easy way to get them in here is just copy and paste them. So any website you can Google, emojis and copy and paste it in. Now, you will see here what I mean by a market-driven newsletter, because almost the entire main section of their newsletter is going to be about what is going on in their market, which they also have some graphics included here. I love this one. It's telling you a very clear story of how things are just flying off the market. And so I think you can do some powerful things here, especially again, if we're going back to targeting our listing shortage situation that most of us are experiencing, including some information like this is going to serve you very well. And then you'll see we continue with some more market information. Now they link to their own website. So if you, instead of maybe including a list in the actual email itself, but you still want to have a call to action where if people do want to look at your properties, this is a great way to do it with just a call to action button. Then I'll show you a couple of things they do down here at the bottom. First, they partner, again, kind of back to the idea of the one we just looked at before, which highlighted a particular program that they do internally. You could also talk about, again, like your lenders that you work with, or if you partner with local other types of organizations, this is obviously some good press for yourself to highlight these organizations that you work with. And then one of my personal favorites is that they always include an adoptable dog at the bottom. And I've seen some other folks do this as well. And I love it. It's so cute. It's a good way to get people to always open your emails too, because they're going to go look for the dog at least. So that's included. And again, it's supporting your local organizations. And again, kind of the thinking about local organizations and why you might highlight these types of things too, is to demonstrate not only you're the local expert, but you also care about your local community. And more people are going to be likely to want to work with an individual who demonstrates openly that they care about their area than someone who doesn't really make an effort, right? So it's a good way to personalize and just show like the personal side of you and build that relationship. So there we go. And then they also include their links to their services at the bottom. All right. We'll go back up to the top here. Let me move my toolbar. All right, moving right along, we will go into prominent properties, Sotheby's. All right, these guys are, I pulled them as an example because they're a good example of something very custom. And so let me hop into their email and we will go to their newsletter. All right. So straight off the bat, like I said, very custom of what they're doing. They use a lot of images. So this very top header, will often get asked how you can create something like this, because most people will start to think, oh, well, this is the ActivePipe header text, right? You go to do it this way. But in fact, this is actually just a giant image that they have uploaded. So keep in mind, if you want to go the more custom route, you might build this in a external program and then import it as an image. Now, other things on this page are definitely still the default ActivePipe modules. Like this one is a text block that we normally have. But if you want to go very stylized, then sometimes using a program like canva.com will help you do that. And then importing it as an image. Now, they include quite a bit of local events going on. And I love how they kind of structure it here, where it's almost like a graphic calendar is what I would call this, right? And so how they've achieved this is just with a 3x3 text and image panel. So if we just drag that in, you'll see that's how they've done this. And then they've just done a little bit of time on how they format their text. So if you go in here, you can see they've just chosen a slightly different font they have here. But in reality, it's just the 3x3 with a little bit of stylization on it. And then they've hyperlinked to each of these events. So if we clicked on this image, you'll see that they have hyperlinked out to that particular article online. So we'll keep scrolling down, lots of local stuff. Then they do something here in the center that is great. They include a blurb about their own services, right? And why they're the best at what they do, which is always the message we want to be sharing, right? Why do we do what we do and why we're the best at what we do it and why do we do it where we do it? Those are the three things that you're kind of achieving here. So that is in the center. Again, this is a image. So this is something that they've built externally and then just imported it as an image and used the one image panel in ActivePipe. So if you want to get, again, hyper stylized, that's kind of the trick to do it. Then down below, they have their own brand blog. So if you're a part of a major network, definitely check and see if you have a brand-wide blog. And then that's great stuff for you to take advantage of and include in your newsletters, because local stuff is great too, but if you want to include some more lifestyle or real estate specific, if you have a brand blog, it would be great to include in your newsletter. And then down towards the bottom, they include a featured property. And then lastly, they include some articles as well, just about real estate. So they kind of start local, they go brand, they go lifestyle, property, and then back to real estate in general. Now, I'll point out that these happen to be our real estate content, which if you're not familiar with, it's an add-on that ActivePipe has that hypothetically should make your life a lot easier to do these type of newsletters. And so we cultivate and create up to, I think now we're doing about 10 articles every single month that we deploy into real estate content. And then you have these at your fingertips. You can sort by category. So if you want stuff specifically about investing, you can sort into investing and you'll see these articles and so on. And then the other beauty there that I have to at least point out is that instead of linking to an external site like your local news source, when you're using real estate content, the beauty of this is that you're linking to a customized branded page with your own information. So your header will be at the top with your logo. And then it's the article just like any other news website, right? And then the sending users information will be over here on the right. So just something to always keep an eye on if you're interested in building these type of newsletters. Real estate content will definitely make your life easier. All right, so that's prominent. And then let's move along to our next, which is going to be the group, which is also in Colorado. And so we'll take a look at theirs. They, similarly to what we've been seeing the theme here, they kind of cultivate a little bit of a mix of what is included in their newsletter. They keep their header the same each month, although I think they maybe changed the background behind this lettering. That is definitely a topic that people fall on two ends of the spectrum, it seems. So I'll discuss pros and cons, I guess, of both. Some folks you'll see change their header each month. Other folks will keep the same header every single month. The nice thing about changing it each month is then you can kind of have some seasonality to it, and you can also make it inclusive of holidays. So maybe your December one is, you know, happy holidays. Your January newsletter is a banner at the top that's Happy New Year and so on, which is kind of nice to make it seasonal and make it a little bit exciting when they first open the email. And then on the opposite end, the folks who tend to keep it the same each time, first of all, the nice thing is that you're not creating a new graphic every time. So maybe you're saving yourself some time. And then the other pro is that you're really establishing like your brand identity immediately. When someone opens that email and they see that header, they know instantly that it's your brokerage and they know instantly that it's your newsletter. So there's definitely pros and cons to both. I'm not sure I personally even have a preference. I think it's totally personal preference, but it's worth considering both of your options there on what your preference is. Now, these guys, they kind of sit somewhere in the middle between a letter at the top and also just diving right in. So it looks almost like a personalized letter, but it technically isn't. We don't have any like placeholders here. And this is more safe route if you don't have your databases cleaned up where you can address it as Dear Elizabeth, right? What I love here too is that they're starting strong from the get-go, talking about home equity at this point and how much folks have built in the past year, which again is targeted right at our issue that many of us are feeling, that listings shortage. We're hopefully providing some information to people that maybe, just maybe, will start to have them consider if they can unstick themselves from their home. Now, they also include some articles. They take a slightly different take than what we've seen before. So you'll see here, this is really talking about a local event, what's going on, and then they do link to that local event. But instead of kind of structuring it where it's just like headline, image, and read article, they actually kind of include the main point of the article in the newsletter itself. So the copy of that article that you would include is actually included here. So kind of just a different take where if you want to include it within the email itself, you totally could and do something like this and then link this way. A nice little local story. I love that. Again, some more local market information. And then something they do here that I kind of like is snippets, which are just quick little updates about interesting information that's going on in the area, which I kind of like how it's like fast facts, kind of a cool little addition at the bottom there. All right. And now the last example we have today is at City Chic Real Estate, which is in the DC area. They're an independent brokerage, and they do quite a bit of newsletters, but I will show you April. All right, now these guys take that the beauty of what they do. First of all, they've built their template from the get-go to be really lovely designed graphically, and then they just plug and play with articles each month. So the beauty of what they do is that it's pretty quick and they can do it really fast because they built their template out so beautifully from the beginning, and then they just plug and play with different articles each month. So they start with their little banner here, trending articles. Now, I guess this is a third option since we were talking about banners and what different people do. You could have a fairly standard banner, but then some folks will just change the little April or May edition below the main banner. So that's kind of an in-between. You could do something like that as well. So they start with their trending articles, and these are primarily local for the most part about what's going on in their area, and very real estate heavy right from the beginning. Then they go more directly into their upcoming events, very much local. Now, the other question we get with these guys is how they are doing this split. This actually is not an image, but it is a 2x2 text panel. And you're probably like, well, hold on, these look very different. This column clearly is much smaller. So you can change the weighting of your columns or of your image weighting with multiple images as well. It works the same way, so I'll show you. To do this, we would go into settings. And then you want to change the column split is what you're doing. So if I wanted to be closer to what they're doing, they're probably, let's try 30/70. There you have it. So when you do that, now your column is going to take up 30% over here and 70% over here. And then again, just a little font formatting, and we can make this look similar. A little centering. And the nice thing about this again is once you build it the first time, then from there, you just duplicate it henceforth. And so really you only do this formatting once, and then it's pre-made for you next month. So that's kind of the thinking there. All right, we'll keep moving along here. So lovely little local event update. Love that. Oh, food truck rally, that sounds fun. And then they highlight their own listings here. Now it looks like they have individually chosen each one, but if you wanted to automate this, you could as well with the property toggle. I won't go into depth on the property toggle, but if you didn't want to individually select every single property here, you could automate that with the toggle. And then I like their little signature line here, don't be shy, say hi. I love that. I think it's super cute. So theirs is, again, the lovely thing about this is that it's plug and play. They have their banners are always the same throughout, and then they just update what is included each month. So they keep their formatting very much the same month over month. I've gotten a question, and it's a great question. If you yourself have any questions, do feel free to pop them into the chat at this point or into the Q&A. That's fine as well, and I'll try to get those answered. But the first one I got was, what is the ideal length of one of these? And that is sometimes tough to say, but I think generally, and you'll probably saw a theme, is that most of them won't be much longer than like 3 scrolls worth is what I would say. So I just had 3 scrolls is what I'd say. So 1, 2, and then 3. So if you're including articles, and let's say maybe a good rule of thumb, right, is you want to include maybe some real estate, you want to include some lifestyle, and you want to include some local, might be your 3 sections. And then maybe we have a property section as well, so 4 sections. I would say if you're doing that, you don't want to probably go beyond 3 of each. So you have 3 real estate pieces of content, 3 lifestyle pieces of content, and 3 local pieces of content. So for a total of around 9, and then plus maybe your property at the end. I wouldn't go much beyond that because you want to be sure that you're kind of covering each topic, sure, and you want to have some options out there to gain engagement from different types of people, but you also don't want to be the person who sends the never-ending scroll email, right? And even these days, some programs will like shorten your email in the immediate inbox. And so once you get past that type of length, 9 articles or so, plus your featured property, you'll likely experience that where it'll end up in people's inboxes, but you'll be like missing the footer, the signature will be like hidden. So that is a good question. Okay, some more have come in. So first was specifying placeholders and how you can use those. And yes, you can use them in your subject line. So if you're curious about the easy way to do that, there is a help article that is going to be a lifesaver. I use it all the time as well. So if you go to our support website, support.activepipe.com, and you type in placeholders, there is this full list of standard placeholders, which will tell you exactly what you need. So for contact placeholders, which is what we saw in that first example, this is the little bit piece of the placeholder that you'll need. And then all you have to do is copy and then go into your email and paste it where you may want it. All right. Some more good like admin-y type questions. So for those of you who are admin, this will definitely apply to you. So one was, can we create a template for our company like the other templates that we have in our account, and then have our users be able to input what they may want into that newsletter template? And yes, so the first thing you can do is, if you created a template for yourself, so let's start, almost everyone has a Canvas template in their account. Most of you should. So if you started from scratch with a Canvas and you built in, you said, okay, let's build something for our agents where we just have this list, and then we're going to put a header on it, and then we're going to have another header and another list. But then you want them to choose their own articles. You could save this and then you could share it down to your users, and it would end up in their shared tab. So you'll have this templates tab and the shared tab below it. And then they have a version. And then if you also wanted to build an email and then you really want it in the templates tab itself, if you build the email, save it, and then reach out to our support team, we can turn it into a template for you. And then it will be here in this list of your typical templates. Oh, I had clarification on the recommendation of like 3 article rule. So local content, real estate content, and lifestyle content are kind of the 3 main categories. So local content being what's going on in your particular area, local events. A good rule of thumb too is like everyone loves food and outdoor activities. So local restaurants opening. Then real estate content is going to be stuff like market. What's going on in your market? Is it getting hotter? Is it getting cooler? What's going on in the realm of real estate in your area? And then lifestyle. And lifestyle is going to be more like what we see with how to make your garden immaculate this spring, or kitchen design trends. That type of lifestyle is what we're going with there. All right. And someone else is asking about a recording of this class, which is great. It actually gives me a good opportunity to highlight something that we've recently done, which is you can, moving forward, find all of the recordings of our This Month at ActivePipe sessions by going to activepipe.com, and under resources, you will find the webinars tab, and you'll find recordings of all of our recent This Month at ActivePipe. You'll have to make sure that you select that you're in North America. And then you'll see here are all of our recordings from our recent TMAPs. So give us a day or two to get this up, but yes, you can totally access the recording, and you'll find it here on our main website. Oh, someone was asking about category, and that is a great question. So on my page here, so we have name of the email, we have subject, and then we have category. So category is going to be a field if, again, you have our enterprise product. So if you have enterprise, you will see category there, and that is because you are able to have your contacts unsubscribe by category. So you could have someone, instead of just blanket unsubscribing, you could say, I want to unsubscribe from everything except for the Buzz newsletter. So that's what that is there for. Okay, great. We're at the about half hour mark, which is normally right where we end. But thank you all for the questions. I really hope that this sparked some ideas and maybe we'll see some new newsletters coming out from you all. I once again want to thank all of the example sharers that we had today, our lovely partners. Thank you so much for letting us share. And that's it. I hope you all have a great rest of your day.